Welcome to Agoracom Small Cap Breaking News, your daily go-to source for the best small cap headlines for over 65 million investors since 2007. Today, we're taking a deep dive into some really compelling headlines and the critical numbers driving excitement in the small cap mining sector. Our mission here is to cut through the noise, help you understand not just what happened in these latest press releases, but really why these particular drill results and resource updates are so significant for investors like you.
Exactly. We're going to try and connect the dots for you, show how these initial findings, these numbers, can hint at much larger potential, geologically and, of course, economically. You'll learn what key metrics to look for, maybe beyond just the bold headlines, and how to interpret these updates to quickly grasp their real-world implications, hopefully help you stay ahead of the curve.
All right, let's unpack this. First up, we're tracking a really significant gold discovery up in Canada's Yukon. This just came across the wire. Breaking news from Banyan Gold that's trading on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol BYN and OTCQB as BYAGF. The headline reads, Banyan Gold advances high-grade discovery at AurMac Project in Yukon. Now, Banyan has unveiled some truly impressive new drill results from their 2025 program at the AurMac Project's Airstrip Deposit. We're talking one of the strongest gold intersections they've seen to date. Get this, 38.1 meters averaging 3.95 grams per ton gold in hole AX25-650. And within that, some really high-grade sections, too, like 5.3 meters hitting 9.88 grams per ton gold, and another kicker, 22.5 meters at 4.14 grams per ton gold. They also hit 28.3 meters, grading 1.31 grams per ton gold in a separate hole, AX25-658, and that significantly extends mineralization. So what makes these numbers really jump out?
Well, what's really impactful about these results for Banyan, especially when you think about a potential open pit scenario, is that 3.95 grams per ton over almost 40 meters. That's an excellent grade and width combination. Just to give listeners some context, anything consistently over maybe 1.5 grams per ton gold is often considered pretty good, potentially viable for a large-scale open pit mine. So hitting almost 4 grams per ton over such a substantial width. That's exceptional. It signals strong economic potential right from the get-go. But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. They observed visible gold for the first time at Airstrip in multiple holes. They're reporting samples up to 51.2 grams per ton gold over about 0.6 meters.
Visible gold. Wow. Okay, that sounds like a potential game changer. Does that imply anything different about processing? Like, is it easier to get out compared to gold you only find through assays?
It absolutely can. Sometimes visible gold simplifies the metallurgy, maybe reduces the need for more complex techniques, but maybe more importantly, it's just such a strong visual indicator. It shouts, high-grade, robust system. So this confirmation of high-grade skarn-style gold near surface in skarn is just, a type of deposit formed when hot fluids hit certain rocks, often creating these very rich zones, sometimes with that visible gold welt, coupling that with their existing 7 million ounce inferred resource. It puts them in a really strong strategic position. It supports their move toward putting out a preliminary economic assessment, a PEA.
Right, the PEA. Just quickly, for listeners maybe not familiar, what exactly is a PEA and why is that step so important in a mine's life cycle?
Oh, yeah, good question. So a PEA is basically an early stage study. It gives everyone a first look at a project's potential profitability. It uses inferred resources, maybe some indicated, to project costs, revenues, and see if the economics look viable. It's crucial because it helps the company track financing, demonstrates market potential. Banyan's aiming for what they call an attractive starter pit scenario with this PEA that can really help accelerate payback, de-risk the early stages, which investors obviously like to see. Now, it's still promising, right? But they will need more drilling to really pin down the full scale of these high-grade zones. And of course, environmental assessments permitting, those are always key hurdles down the road. It's about systematically building that value.
Okay, so high-grade gold, near surface, visible gold in the Yukon. Got it. Now let's move east to New Brunswick, Canada. Another compelling gold story here, but with an interesting twist.
Galway Metals, Inc. They trade on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol GWM, also on the OTCQB as GAYMF.
Galway Metals expands Clarence Stream Gold discovery with strong drill results. So Galway announced promising new results from its Clarence Stream Gold project. Specifically, they've expanded their north deposit by a significant 300 meters. Key intercepts include 6.4 grams per ton gold over 5.2 meters in hole ND18, and within that, an even higher grade bit, 27.6 grams per ton over 1.0 meter. So expert, how significant is pushing a deposit out by 300 meters like that, especially with those kinds of grades?
Oh, that 300-meter step out. Beyond their 2022 resource boundary, that's incredibly significant, host. especially, again, because it's near-surface mineralization. That's ideal for cost-effective open-pit mining like we just discussed. It really suggests the deposit is potentially much larger than they previously modeled, could add substantial ounces.
Nice.
But here's that twist you mentioned, and it's actually a pretty big one for the investment thesis here. They're getting meaningful antimony values alongside the gold. Listen to this intercept. 1.9 grams per ton gold and 0.3% antimony over 8.0 euro meters in hole ND16.
Antimony. Okay, right. That's not a metal you hear about every single day in gold headlines. Why is finding that with the gold so important?
You're right, it's not as famous as gold or copper, but antimony is actually designated a critical mineral in many places, including North America and Europe. It's vital for global supply chains. It's used in, well, all sorts of things: renewable energy components, defense applications, high-tech electronics. Think specialized alloys, flame retardants, semiconductors. And its supply is often concentrated geographically, so finding a secure North American source like this from Galway could be incredibly strategic. It adds significant economic value and, frankly, geopolitical value, too. Their goal, they state, is to grow this deposit by 100 to 200%. They've even mobilized a third drill rig now to accelerate that effort, which shows their confidence.
Wow, okay. So it becomes more than just a gold play. It's a dual commodity story, potentially, with strategic, critical mineral importance. That definitely changes the attractiveness, doesn't it?
Precisely. It broadens their potential market appeal, adds another potential revenue stream. Now, like Banyan, Galway's path forward involves more drilling, defining that continuity and scale, and of course the environmental and permitting side. But that strategic value from the antimony really makes this one stand out.
Okay, fascinating. From gold and antimony, let's switch gears and head south to Arizona for some copper news. Breaking news from Intrepid Metals Corp. You can find them on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker INTR, and on the OTCQB as IMTCF. The headline here: Intrepid Metals expand copper discovery at Corral Copper Project in Arizona. Now, their latest assays from the Ringo Zone, they've uncovered over 200 meters of mineralization, and it starts right at surface. Listen to these numbers. Hole CC25027 hit 204.25 meters, grading 0.32% copper equivalent right from surface. And that included higher grade zones like 90.5 meters of 0.54% copper equivalent and 26.3 meters of 1.17% copper equivalent. Then hole CC25028 delivered 181.80 meters of 0.41% copper equivalent, starting just downhole a bit at 45.5 meters. And that one included kickers of 7.9 meters at 2.10% copper equivalent and 17.6 meters of 1.48% copper equivalent. Expert, those are some seriously wide intercepts. What's the significance first of that term copper equivalent and hitting mineralization that wide right near surface?
Yeah, those are indeed exceptional widths, host, especially starting right from surface like that first hole. So copper equivalent, or QEQ, it's a really crucial term here. It basically means they're finding not just copper, but also other valuable metals, in this case, gold and silver, within the same drill core. It's a way to express the combined value of all those metals converted into a single copper percentage using, current metal prices. It helps you, the investor, understand the total economic potential of what they're hitting. And when you see wide near-surface intercepts like this, over 200 meters, with significant higher-grade zones embedded within them, well, that's exactly what you look for in potential large-scale bulk tonnage open-pit operations. It signals a project that could potentially be mined very efficiently.
Okay, so it's really about the total metal value basket, not just the copper percentage alone. And these huge zones near surface, how does that fit into the bigger geological picture they're seeing?
Right, and that's where it gets truly exciting from an exploration perspective. The geological indicators they were reporting strongly suggest this system might be transitioning into, or perhaps sitting on top of, a much larger copper-gold porphyry system. Now, for listeners, a porphyry system, these are essentially the giants, the elephants of the mining world. They're responsible for many of the world's largest multi-billion-ton, multi-decade copper and gold mines. Finding signs of one enhances the long-term exploration potential immensely. And they're in Arizona, which is one of North America's most established mining-friendly jurisdictions. So this really starts to point towards a potential district-scale opportunity. It changes the investment thesis from just a single prospect to maybe a whole regional play. Now, obviously, moving forward, defining a full resource will require a lot more drilling, and future development has to navigate the regulatory paths in Arizona. But the potential scale here is, well, it's massive.
District scale potential, that's a huge shift. Okay, let's keep moving. We'll turn our attention now to Guyana, South America. Oh My Gold Mines Corp is making some significant strides down there. They trade on the TSX Venture Exchange as OMG. Their headline, Oh My Gold expands high-grade resource at Wenat with strong drill results. They're running an aggressive 2025 exploration program, and it's set to support a major resource update they're planning for next quarter. And they're seeing wide intervals of high-grade gold. For instance, hole 25 ODD 107 hit 2.67 grams per ton, gold over 21.4 meters. And that included an impressive kicker, 17.61 grams per ton over 2.1 meters. Another hole, 25 ODB 112, yielded 2.80 grams per ton gold over 15.0 meters, with a sweet spot of 3.1 meters grading 11.50 grams per ton. Now, expert OMI already has a pretty substantial resource base, so how do these new results fit into their existing plan or story?
Yeah, what's compelling here, host, is how these results seem to be specifically expanding the high-grade zones. They're finding them beneath and along the flanks of their current Wenat resource shell. You're right, OMI already announced a significant resource back in February 2024, 4.3 million ounces of gold. But here's the crucial detail for investors. They already completed a PEA, that preliminary economic assessment we talked about earlier, and that PEA outlined a robust-looking open-pit scenario based on only 45% of that existing 4.3 million ounce resource. So these new hits, like that 17.6 grams per ton over 2.1 meters, they're not just potentially adding ounces. They suggest substantial upside for the next resource update by potentially increasing the quality and the minability of the overall resource.
Ah, okay, I see. So hitting these higher grades could actually improve the economics of the plan they already put out in the PEA, or maybe allow them to bring more of that existing 4.3 million ounces into a more profitable mine plan.
Precisely. Yeah, exactly. It really bodes well for developing a more comprehensive mining scenario down the track. Maybe one that integrates the planned open pit with potential underground operations, especially as they chase these higher grade extensions deeper. It just makes their overall resource more robust, more flexible. So for investors, it shows the company is actively de-risking the project and adding tangible value to an already substantial gold asset. Now, the usual caveats apply, right? Continued drilling is needed to fully define the extent. Environmental regulatory approvals in Guyana will be critical, but the momentum here is clearly building towards that next update.
That sounds like a fantastic setup for their next resource statement. Okay, one last stop for today. We head down to Argentina's Distrito Massif, known as a world-class gold and silver district. Astra Exploration Inc., trading on the TSX Venture Exchange under ASTR, and OTCQB as ATIPF just announced this. Astra Exploration extends high-grade gold veins at La Manchuria, Argentina. Now, expert, their latest drill results, they are truly exceptional. Hole LMD 107A delivered 0.6 meters, grading a staggering 199.3 grams per ton gold and 228 grams per ton silver. That was actually within a slightly broader interval of 1.6 meters, grading 75.09 grams per ton gold and 86.79 grams per ton silver. They're calling it one of the highest grades intersected there to date. Another notable hit, hole LMD 113, had 1.3 meters, grading 17.3 grams per ton gold and 61 grams per ton silver, including 0.5 meters, grading 31.0 grams per ton gold and 110 grams per ton silver. I mean, how often do you actually see numbers like 199 grams per ton gold? What does that signal?
Wow. Yeah, those are truly eye-popping grades, host. Especially that almost 200 grams per ton gold intercept. Results like that, even over narrower widths in these high-grade vein systems, are rare and, frankly, highly sought after. They don't just indicate, pockets of high grade. What's fascinating here is they say these results are fundamentally confirming their geological model. It indicates a much larger vein system than maybe was previously recognized. And crucially, they're saying mineralization remains open in multiple directions, meaning they haven't found the edges yet. There's still room to grow. The discovery of these new high-grade veins beneath what they call post-mineral cover, that's basically just younger rock formations that covered up the older mineralized rocks, making them harder to spot from surface while finding these, particularly the potential for shallow, high-grade starter zones, could really fast-track development possibilities.
Right, so they're hitting these bonanza grades in areas that were maybe overlooked or hidden before, and that could potentially speed up the path towards maybe eventually production.
Exactly. It really highlights the power of modern systematic exploration, using good geological models to uncover these previously missed high-grade structures. That's like unlocking hidden value. They also mention they're fully funded for their next phase of drilling, so this story definitely has more chapters to come. For investors, results like this really de-risk those potential initial phases of a mine. High-grade starter pits can sometimes generate early cash flow, which can then fund further expansion. Now, the structural complexity of these vein systems, it will require careful, targeted drilling to fully define them.
And integrating limited historical data can sometimes be a challenge. But yeah, these are exactly the kind of headline results that grab significant investor attention in the exploration game.
Well, we've certainly taken quite a deep dive into some truly compelling breaking news from the small cap mining world today. From that high-grade gold up in the Yukon and New Brunswick with its antimony kicker, to the really vast copper-gold potential shaping up in Arizona, the expanding resource down in Guyana, and now there's just exceptional vein discoveries in Argentina. We've really seen how specific drill results, those key numbers we talked about, can dramatically change the picture for a project's potential and, critically, for its investment profile.
Precisely. Understanding these initial results, not just glancing at the headline, but digging into the grade, the width, the geological context, how they expand a resource or hint at these larger systems, that's absolutely crucial for assessing potential. It's really not just about what grade did they hit, but the why. Why is it significant? That's what drives the real value and signals those true growth opportunities in the resource sector. It helps you discern which companies are, systematically building towards something meaningful and potentially economic.
So what does this all mean for you listening in? Maybe consider this. In a world just flooded with information, how might looking beyond just those bold headlines and really taking the time to understand the specific, compelling data points and their broader implications, how might that inform your next big discovery or investment decision?